It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, today we're going to jump in the gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to share some thoughts on the dueling ERP systems. You know, folks, our industry has been trying to replace ECI eAutomate since the year 2013. And it all started with MWA Intelligence and their FORZA aspirations, which I believe ended in total disaster. They didn't hit their goal. They accomplished nothing, right? They were going to replace ECI eAutomate. They were going to be the preferred ERP system for the document image channel. They were going to change the whole entire industry, and that didn't happen. So it failed. And now I'm looking at DXone. I'm looking at Noetics. I'm looking at some of their marketing strategies. I'm listening to what they say in the marketplace, and I'm getting deja vu, and it's scaring the hell out of me. And I want to make it clear. I believe in entrepreneurism. It's the backbone of free enterprise. I think competition's good. I think disrupting status quo is all good things. But I think these business plans have to be built in reality. I think building an ERP system for any industry costs millions and millions of dollars. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I ask the question of DXone and Noetics. What happens if you run out of money? And folks, I think that's a fair question. Because like I said, MWA Intelligence and FORZA, we're going to change the whole world. They spent over 10 years, and we all saw where it ended. So they started the FORZA product in 2013 is when they made the big announcement. In 2018, Konica Minolta bought MWA Intelligence and FORZA, and I asked at that time, how did Grey Rock Capital, their investor, do when Konica bought it? Never got an answer to that. I heard it was a whole lot of money lost. And ladies and gentlemen, in 2024, Konica Minolta divested of FORZA. When I look at DXone, Power MPS was established in 2018. In January of 2023, they announced DXone, the ERP system for the imaging channel. In February of 2025, the CEO of Acumatica stood on stage at the desert meeting. They like to do these ERP things in the desert for some reason. But stood on stage at that meeting and said they're making an investment in DXone. We all know that Acumatica is the backbone to DXone ERP. I looked into Noetics, the new people. I went to the founder's LinkedIn profile. It said he founded Noetics in June of 2023, 2 years, 5 months ago. I want to ask these folks a question. Are you doing this for the dealers to really change the industry? Or are you doing this because you believe there's going to be some fantasy-based big cash payout? You're going to sign up some dealers and some money's going to come and you're going to go sailing off to Jamaica? Because those are two different mindsets. Those are two different tracks, okay? And I really see both of these folks trying to take the track where they believe they're going to get a big cash out. And, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. And at the end of the day, this was tried once. FORZA was built on the back of SAP B1, the largest ERP in the world at that time. As a matter of fact, we saw so many damn press releases about SAP, a lot of people thought that MWA Intelligence was actually SAP. I mean, seriously, it was just crazy nonsense. There was literally thousands of press releases put out by that company. Anytime the CEO, Bill McDermott, gave a speech, it was plastered all over LinkedIn like he was part of FORZA. I mean, and at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, again, it didn't work out. I want to start out by sharing an article that I wrote in April of 2021. And it was titled, Will Konica Continue in its FORZA Aspirations? And here's the first sentence. With all due respect to Konica Minolta's FORZA aspirations, I ask, should dealers have reservations and questions regarding the future of FORZA? And in that article, I shared my view that they're not going to stay with FORZA, that they're going to get out of this. And when I wrote that article, I got a lot of crap, like I normally do. You know, I might even have gotten like banned from having dinner one time at an Annulus event. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I'd see the Konica executives out there and they'd be talking about stuff like, oh, Ray, you don't know what you're talking about. We're knocking it out of the park with FORZA. It's killing it. We're doing great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the office products industry has a blog, OPI, and they actually wrote an article It was June of 2024, talking about Konica Minolta divest of Forza. And you know what's in that article? A link to my article. I'll tell you what, when our industry's media and analysts, the print industry, when they published that press release about Konica Minolta, divesting of Forza, none of them put a link to that article I wrote 3 years earlier. And I'm not saying this because I want to say I told you so. I'm saying this because, ladies and gentlemen, when I bring these warnings to you, I bring them to you because I do some research. I use my imagination. I think about things. I think about things hard. And if I want to share something, I don't go and wait it, whether it's going to make somebody mad or not. I share it. Quite honestly, a lot of times I'm hoping for arguments, which I never get. I want to go back in time a little further. This is February 23rd, 2026. They're talking about the meeting in the desert. We all know the ECS meeting in the desert, and that's where people go, and they talk about the future of the industry. The most collaborative, smartest people in the world go there, and they're going to share their insights and try to help the dealers, save the industry, if you will. I went back to this 26th meeting, and I looked at some highlights. These are some of the things they talked about. We believe in connected. And it was MWA Intelligence. That company doesn't even exist anymore. LMI Solutions. That company doesn't even exist anymore. Oki Data Print. Oki Data Print left America. Print Fleet. Well, they're still around, but guess who bought them? eAutomate. So everything they were thinking about back in 2016 on that desert stage, none of that came to reality. I mean, my gosh, 2 of the companies don't even exist anymore. And folks, you know what this also reminds me of? It reminds me of a video that I did last year. And it was titled, The Once Employed OEM CEO versus the Troll. And this is when the once CEO of Konica Minolta US was at that desert meeting. This was around the 22-23 time frame, I believe. And he stood on stage and he talked about the internet troll. And then I did an episode on it, and I said, well, who would you have been better off listening to? The ex-CEO of Konica Minolta USA or the internet troll? And I listed all the things, and at the end of the day, you would have been better off listening to the troll. And if y'all want to call me an internet troll and you still want to call me an internet troll, I don't really care about that. I take that as a pride. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it amazes the hell out of me that I'm the only one in the damn industry that wants to share things based in reality. It's still troubling to me. And I remember all those years of Forza, all these press releases. Oh my God, the press releases were crazy. Do you realize that it was MWA Intelligence and Forza that put in my brain that rayism that goes like this? Those that do perpetual press releases are trying to distract you from the non-release of their previous press release. That's really what I thought about when I thought about Forza and MWA Intelligence. I mean, they literally put out like thousands of press releases. It's like, give me a break. I didn't even read the last press release. You're putting out another press release. Are you trying to distract me from the non-release of the previous press release? But you know what the industry's mainstream folks never talked about? And when I say mainstream, I'm talking about the Canada Report, the Imaging Channel magazine, the guy with the hat, and ENX magazine. The lawsuits regarding Forza. I had to go to Action Intelligence to find that. If those are on any of those blogs, I apologize. Put a link and say, hey, yeah, we talked about that lawsuit. Here's the copy of it. I talked about it on my show, but it wasn't all good. And I just think to myself, what if more people would have questioned this along the way over those 10 years, right? Maybe the folks that are getting in this industry today trying to come up with a new ERP for the imaging channel would have more to think about. They would have more to evaluate because people put more scrutiny on some of the crap that was spewed from the stage at the desert. I want to discuss DXone, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but it's just my thinking. I don't really have a lot of confidence in this particular platform becoming the next ERP system for the imaging channel. And I base that on a couple of different things. I see so many similarities in the marketing strategy around Forza with this one that is scary. And I think, look, if you want to use the same marketing strategies and even the same marketing people that were promoting Forza, then they should be able to share with you why Forza was not successful in replacing eAutomate. I think that should be a whole topic of discussion. and then how you're going to do the things different than them. But when you look from the outside looking in, you're seeing the same kind of spewing conversations. And quite honestly, I will tell you this. A lot of folks are out there doing interviews, and you listen to these interviews, these leaders of these organizations, whether it's DXone or any other organization, you can hear what they're saying. And if you just think about what they're saying, you could come up with some analysis on what they said. That's kind of how I got my opinion, if you will, of Visual Edge IT, just listening to their CEO in the marketplace doing interviews, looking at how they write stuff up, looking at their blogs. And again, I just don't have a lot of confidence in that particular platform. When I look at this Noetics, I go to their website, and you know, I got to tell you, Noetics, I'm just going to ask you the question and you answer it, okay? You put it in the comments. Are these metrics regarding Odoo or Noetics? So we got 12 million base platform users, 45,000 transactions daily, and 93% client retention. Are you talking about Noetics, the ERP for the document imaging channel, or are you talking about Odoo, the back end of Noetics? And is Odoo the back end of Noetics? I'm asking that question. I asked it to Google, and Google told me it was. I'll share that in a minute. But when I see this kind of stuff on the website, you know what I think of? I wrote it in red. Does everyone remember when MWA Intelligence FORZA constantly bragged about the size and success of SAP? I mean, seriously, Bill McDermott, the CEO of SAP, whatever he did, if he gave a speech, whatever, it was plastered all over LinkedIn. And some people really thought, oh, is Bill McDermott running Forza? I mean, seriously. Had nothing to do with Forza. Well, it didn't matter at all about the size of SAP because Forza was what dealers were buying. And that was an MWA Intelligence solution. So it won't matter the success of Odoo. If Odoo's the back end of Noetics, it's going to matter about Noetics. It's built on top of that, specifically for the print space, or those copier dealers, as you say in your page here. I went to the founder's LinkedIn site, and I got a little bit confused, so I just want to get some clarification on this. But the founder of Noetics, from June 23rd to present, 2 years, 5 months, he's also shown himself as the CEO of a company called ERPIZO, and that's an ERP system for the flooring, building supply, roofing, home services, and construction industry. And I'm thinking, are you doing both ERPs? Are you trying to build another ECI where you're going to have multiple platforms? What's the focus? Is the focus for the copier industry, or is the focus for this construction industry? What exactly is going on here? And I think that's a fair question. Because building an ERP from scratch for the document imaging channel, that's going to take a whole lot of folks and a whole lot of money. And by the way, the gentleman has been the CEO of this ERPIZO company for 4 years, 2 months. So what's going on with that exactly? And the other question is, the ERPIZO says an Odoo partner. But it doesn't say that Noetics is an Odoo partner. But I think it is, because according to Al Overview, it is. I went into the Google machine and I asked the question. It shows that it's all there. It even talks about the key point intelligence integration. It's like, you know, key point intelligence is another one of them platforms that I don't believe does near enough information to the industry. You know, I believe they're 100% just folks I give it out awards, and if the people buy the award, then that'll get them whatever they want written. That's just what I believe. But folks, you know, when I'm going through this, it says limitations. Let me read you this, and this is about the Odoo platform. So according to Al Overview, Noetics is built on top of Odoo, okay? And so it says, well, it can be used by larger companies. Some sources suggest it may be too limited for very large or complex organization with intricate supply chains or manufacturing needs compared to robust systems like SAP or Oracle. So is this not going to work for mega dealers? Is this not going to work if you got multiple different, you know, supply chains, if you will? Because that's kind of what we're all trying to do, right? We want to do IT. We want something to manage that. We want something to manage print. We want to do it all together in one place. What is the limitations of this thing? And I think that, again, that's kind of a fair question. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, when I wrote that article back in 2021, I wrote it because of Konica Minolta's financial train wreck mess that went on since 2020. And I've talked about this so many times, but I got to ask you all a question. Has anybody else talked about this? Has Keypoint Intelligence ever wrote an article and shared all the operating profit losses for Konica Minolta since the year 2020? And did they talk about what happened in 2024? Or instead, did they talk about the latest award they gave them? Because they did actually talk about that recently at their headquarters. Here's the latest BLI award for Konica Minolta. Coincidentally, right around the same time they were releasing their financials. I mean, you know why nobody gets mad at any of the press? Because they never write an article suggesting that you all pay attention to something. They write an article and tell you how great everything is, regardless of whether they believe it or not. Let me end with this slide, ladies and gentlemen. It's a picture of a boat that should not even be in the water. It's not in the water. It sank a long time ago and probably washed up on shore. And above that just piece of crap boat, it says this: knowing when to stop assuming the boat can float is important, because boats with big holes cannot float, regardless in the passion of unrealistic optimism. What if more question Forza? What if more question Forza? Would DXone and Noetics have more information to base their business plans on? What if more question Forza? What if more question Konica? What if more question Visual Edge? What if more question the private equity-backed mega dealers? Ladies and gentlemen, our industry is not going to move forward in prosperity if we're afraid to discuss the realities all around us. And everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.